Chancellor Angela Merkel has reaffirmed Germany's commitment to climate protection, despite the enormous social and economic challenges posed by COVID-19. Berlin is still behind the European Green Deal, she said. Sent Facebook, Twitter, Google+, WhatsApp, Tumblr, LinkedIn, StumbleDig, Reddit, Newsfeed, permalink, https://p.dw. We have a rare and short window of opportunity to rebuild our world for the better. Europe's climate ambition undaunted by virus. Merkel reaffirmed Germany's support for the EU's ambitious climate goals under the European Green Deal, which wants to see the bloc cut 55 of its 1990 emissions levels by the end. The member states have so far agreed to aim for a 40. European Commission head Ursula von der Leyen also emphasized the importance of the newer, more ambitious. By using the European Green Deal as our compass, we can turn the crisis of this pandemic into an opportunity to rebuild our economies differently and make them more so that we also leave a better place for our children, von der Leyen said. Send Facebook, Twitter, Google+, WhatsApp, Tumblr, LinkedIn, StumbleDig, Reddit, Newsfeed, permalink /p.d.com/p/3z8. Germany will also stick to its agenda of phasing out coal-fired power plants, while continuing investment in sustainable energy technology, said Merkel, adding that she would support CO2 pricing to bring down emissions. /p/3b. The world must keep a close eye on climate protection as it faces the economic fallout of the pandemic. The past decade saw the highest average temperature since measurements summit by livestream launched in 2010 with an initiative spearheaded by Merkel following the failed 2009 climate negotiations in Copenhagen. The Petersberg Climate Dialogue is intended to create a space for close and constructive exchange among ministers on climate. Read more. EU Green Deal can spark a decarbonization revolution. The two-day dialogue would normally bring together foreign ministers from 30 countries, along with representatives from NGOs and the private sector. However, with the coronavirus pandemic halting international travel, the dialogue was organized around a series of speeches and meetings by live stream. As the world grinds to a halt, the sudden shutdown of most industrial activities has dramatically reduced air pollution. Satellite images have even revealed a clear drop in global levels of nitrogen dioxide, NO2, a gas which is primarily emitted from car engines and commercial manufacturing plants and is responsible for poor air quality in many major cities. Like NO2, carbon dioxide emissions, CO2, have also been slashed in the wake of the COVID-19 crisis. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said on Wednesday, speaking remotely for the Petersberg Climate Dialogue. When economic activity stalls, so do CO2 emissions. In fact, the last time this happened was during 2008 to 2009. In China alone, emissions have fallen by around 25 when the country entered lockdown, according to Carbon Brief. But this change is likely to only be temporary. As everyone retreats to their homes, some animals have been taking advantage of our absence. Reduced road traffic means little critters like hedgehogs emerging from hibernation are less likely to be hit by cars. Meanwhile, other species like ducks may be wondering where all the people have gone and will need to find other sources of food besides breadcrumbs in the park. Conservationists hope the coronavirus outbreak will help curb global wildlife trade, which is responsible for pushing a number of species to the brink of COVID-19. Likely originated in a Wuhan wet market, which sells live produce and is a hub for both legal and illegally trafficked wildlife. A crackdown on trading live wildlife may be a positive thing to come out of the crisis. Shortly after Italy entered lockdown, images of crystal clear canals in Venice were shared around the world, the pristine blue waters area far cry from their usual. We need a financial market that provides cheap capital for climate-friendly investments, said Merkel, during an address for the annual event usually held in and with cruise ships docked for the time being. Our oceans are also experiencing a drop in noise pollution, lowering the stress levels of marine creatures like whales and making for a much more peaceful migration. But it's not all good news. One of the worst environmental side effects of the coronavirus pandemic is the rapid increase in the use of disposable plastic, from medical equipment like disposable to plastic packaging as more people opt for pre-pack. Even cafes that remain open no longer accept reusable cups from customers in a bid to stop the virus from spreading. With the coronavirus dominating, the climate crisis has been pushed to the sidelines. But that doesn't make it any less urgent. Experts are warning that important decisions regarding climate should not be delayed, even with the UN climate conference postponed until 2021. While emissions have dropped since the pandemic began, we're unlikely to see widespread and long-term change as a result. Addressing the annual Petersberg climate dialogue, Merkel also called for climate action to be included as part of economic reconstruction plans following the pandemic. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said climate protection had to be considered as part of the economic stimulus programs that governments are launching to help industries recover from the coronavirus. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has praised a plan to make Europe the world's first climate-neutral continent. The European Green Deal envisages net zero carbon emissions by 2050. It's the first time the two are attending the same event since the teenager famously stared down Trump at the UN last year. The annual Jamboree is taking place against the backdrop of Australia's worst ever bushfires, including investments in future-oriented technologies such as renewable energy. Read more: Germany to stop using coal by end of 2038, looming existential threat of climate change. In a video address following Merkel, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said the pandemic had exposed the fragility of our societies and economies to shocks. The UN chief called for brave, visionary collective leadership, saying it was also needed to address the looming existential threat of climate disruption.